If your child was a victim of abuse, there's different stages that you are going to have to acknowledge and recognize when it comes to the healing process. The first part of that is that in the beginning, the pain that you're experiencing, all of that is actually irrelevant at first when it comes to your child and what they need to hear from you and their healing. Here's what I mean. When someone manipulates you and grooms you into trusting them with your child, even if it is your partner and it's their other parent, right? When anybody does that, that creates so much, that shatters your world. You absolutely are a secondary victim of this. However, in the beginning, when your child is healing, that's not what they need to hear. Right now, they need to hear, hey, you needed protection. And for however long it was, I missed it and I was supposed to protect you. I'm sorry. And from here on out, my focus is to help you get better and to keep you safe and all of that. It's so tempting to follow that up with, but it's because of this, but I was manipulated, but, don't talk about that yet. Wait. Let them hear the validation that they carried this alone for however long they did. However long they carried it alone, they carried it alone. They need to hear that from you. They need you to recognize, you carried this alone. That was hard. I'm so sorry. And I'm going to make sure that never happens again. And now I'm going to focus on your healing and on helping you get better. Now, over time, your child will heal and get stronger, and then they can handle and process conversations with you about how this also affects you, about how this shattered you, about how you fell apart, about how you, even about the guilt. They can handle hearing all that when they have worked through a lot of the trauma that they experienced. In the beginning, if you follow up any kind of apology or acknowledgement of their abuse with, but I was tricked, but I was deceived, but I was also a victim, they hear or feel pressure to vindicate you, pressure to forgive you, pressure to relieve you of any responsibility. And as much as you understand, like, hey, I would never have let this go on if I had known, children are in all sorts of different stages of development and emotional understanding. Your child might be angry with you about this, even though you would never have let it go on if you knew. And as soon as you knew, you did something, you protected them, whatever. Your child might still be angry with you, and that's understandable. And they have to work through that. So you've got to be able to let go of your ego. You've got to be able to let go of your fear. Like, oh my gosh, what if they're never going to forgive me? What if they're never going to? And you've got to let go of the urge to ask them to forgive you, to beg them to forgive you, to ask them to acknowledge that you were hurt too, etc., etc. Let them feel their anger. Let them feel all of it. Accept it, hear it, see it, get them all the help they need. And I promise, naturally over time, this will become something that you can have conversations about. You know, I got another comment on this same video. Someone had said to me, like, hey, I actually don't like the fact that you're saying that you were also, what did I say? Oh, I said I was also groomed by him. And they said, you can't take any of the sympathy from the victim or something like that. And I totally get that. But you've got to remember that she's 19 now. This happened over 8 years ago. We have gone through a lot of healing. So now we can look at this together and go, yeah, our whole family was a victim of what this man did, even though the direct abuse was to her and her alone. So she doesn't feel an ownership of the trauma right now, like she probably would have had she been younger. Like she would have back when she was younger if we had tried to talk about this at that point. And hopefully that makes sense. So as healing happens, it is okay to acknowledge how an abuser victimized everybody in the family. But if they're still in those raw stages, give it time. Let them experience the entirety of their trauma and let them work through as much of that as they can. Please, always with professional help. And just be there. Be there, be there, be there, be there. Don't ask them for any kind of vindication or forgiveness. Not right now. It'll be okay.